A national development plan is needed by every government. And that's why when the new government came on board, based on their manifesto, they thought about having a national development plan for this country for the period 2018 to 2021. And this is what we are currently implementing. The plan basically is not per se a government plan. It's a national development plan. And this is why its formulation was very, very participatory. And then all relevant sectors of this economy, be it public, be it private, be it non-state actors, the civil society, were all involved in the formulation of this very important document. Now, the document do have what we call strategic priorities. It has 8 priority areas and seven critical enablers. And these are the instruments that we use to implement the document. So in short, that's the background I can give you, that a national development plan is a very, very important planning instrument for every country. And this is why the government is definitely working towards implementing this NDP 2018 to 2021. Plans should be measured because each plan is supported by what we call a resource envelope. You need funds, you need money to make sure that your plan is operationalized. So therefore, at the end of each year, you need to measure whether the plan is being implemented as scheduled or not. And this is what we've been doing at the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. And of course, with the support of other stakeholders. Now, we did an annual progress report for the plan in 2018. And then this progress report shows us or gave us a matrix whereby we were able to measure what was planned for that specific year and what was achieved accordingly for the same year. Now, we did that in 2018 and was also planning to do it in 2019. But then the challenge, as you may know, was COVID. That definitely it was very difficult to do this in 2019. But eventually what we plan to do now, given that the plan is already midway, we want to do a kind of a March annual progress report with what is called a midterm evaluation. Because a midterm evaluation is in fact a little more thorough than an annual progress report. So we are working towards having a midterm evaluation that will cover the period 2018, the period 2019, and also partly 2021, so that we can get the real evidence. Where are we as far as the plan is concerned? And what needs to be done in the subsequent years remaining to implement the program. So basically, this is where we are as far as the progress reports are concerned. Actually, you know, when you implement the program, it depends on the timing of the activities. Remember, the plan was formulated in 2018, and it was measured again in 2018. What you saw in the measurement is just for the period January 2018 to December 2018. And as you may look into the main report, the content again, you will see that the actual implement of the report started almost very close to 6 months towards the end of the year. So what we measure was just per se 6 months frame of implementation. So therefore, the conclusion for those sectors not being in track is just measured within a period of 6 months. But I can tell you, if we do the same measurement today, you will see a different records for almost all the sectors. Because we work with them, we interact with them, and I know a significant progress has been achieved across all sectors of the economy, from the 2020 progress report to date. But also, as development practitioners, we're also very cautious to make conclusions on achievements. You know why? The numbers you get in reports will not tell you the evidence. And annual progress reports do tell you that these are the numbers, but those numbers does not necessarily have a right impact on the lives of the people. It is the evidence. You tell me that this is the number, and I tell you what is the background behind the numbers. And this is what evaluation tells you. And we are trying to do one, which is the midterm. I'm sure when we have the midterm evaluation, we'll be in a better position to tell you what achievements have been registered across all the sectors, and again, what is the evidence behind those numbers. It is evaluation that tells you that. So we're going to do one in 2020. And in fact, now we're working on the terms of reference to get a firm that can help us do that. You know, in any plan, there's what we call risk and mitigation strategies. When you do your program, your plan, I think it's really important to draw out some key risks that can derail your implementation. And of course, yes, there are some risks. But again, we were also able to devise a mitigation strategy. In the event that these risks are being seen or are being observed, what should be done to make sure that they are averted or they do not have very serious consequences on people? And one of the risk I think that was really highlighted is, given the content of the plan, is how do we make sure that we have the necessary resources to fund the plan? Because the plan, as you can see, the resource requirements goes beyond the national capacity. And to avert that risk, we were able to do what we call an international donor conference that you may have seen in the annual progress report. At that conference, we had several pledges and commitments. And I can tell you, those resources coupled with what government injected into the plan resulted in where we are today as a government to implement the plan. So in short, yes, of course, there was some risk, but we also devised what we call risk mitigation strategies to avert them. We development practitioners do not just make swift conclusions on achievements. And what is good for you may not be good for your colleague. Or what you consider good may be different from what I consider good. But in short, I respect their opinion, but I also want to put emphasis that before, at the level of government, we can make concluding statements on the achievements, we have to do an evaluation. It is an evaluation that will inform you. Because unless we have the evaluation, I cannot, to be honest, confirm that they are right or they are wrong. But we have to get the evidence to prove. And this will happen in 2020. In development terms, you don't measure impact when the progress or process is on. Impact is usually measured, even sometimes after 20 years, 30 years of the intervention. But I can tell you now, we can report on what we call outcomes. We have what we call outputs, which is very clear, given the kind of activities you are seeing in this country, the money that's going on. These are all outputs. But then the outcomes for now are also being very evident. You know that the Constitution is already drafted. You can see that there are numerous projects that is going in the country. You can see the freedom of expression that we're having now. I can tell you, before this National Development Plan, or this government, nobody would have been in a position to go to a private media house and a TV precisely and talk about the National Development Plan. So this alone, to me, is a big success registered by this government. And it's all because of awareness creation, advocacy, and the like. So today we are benefiting from the immediate outcomes of the National Development Plan. And not only this, but there are other things that we can always talk about. The National Development Plan is a package. It's a development package. And the package is for the private sector to pull out their chunk, civil society to pull out their chunk, and development partners also to pull out their chunk. So everything you see happening in this country is corresponding to a priority area of the National Development Plan. As I told you in my opening remarks, we have 8 critical priorities or strategic priorities. And everything you see in this country is aligned to those priorities and critical enablers. I think we've done a lot in terms of governance in this country. If you look at what's happening now and how things are rolling out, you will definitely feel that governance is taking its right course. People are really very independent now to express their opinions, their views, and also the mechanisms and institutions that are needed to support governance in this country are being established. So to me, I know, will not say that it's only governance, but I will consider governance as one of those that is really moving as far as this country is concerned. This session is part of the National Development Plan because we talked about media advocacy. In fact, it's a big chunk of the plan. Now we're giving you the opportunity to access government and get details of the plan. That alone signifies what the plan is doing. And again, given that we are already in 2020, almost a year to the tail end of the plan, I can tell you almost all the activities that we targeted to do are now progressing gradually. Again, it will be difficult to give you the evidence without the evaluation, but I think by end 2020, we can prove to you that the plan is working as scheduled. Even though we may have some challenges, I know, in terms of funding and the like, but this is what you expect from any plan. You don't have to satisfy your plan 100%. This is the wish, but sometimes it's difficult. So I think we are moving gradually as a nation. One thing I want to tell the Gambia is that now we have an opportunity. The opportunity is that they have a plan that was built nationally. As I said earlier, the plan is a national plan. So I just want to call everybody on board. The civil society organizations, private sector organizations, non-state actors, and even development partners to come on board to make sure that this plan is implemented as scheduled. One thing is that for development to happen is people should be convinced that what they're trying to achieve is the right cause, for them to be able to convince others that we can make the difference we are yearning for as a country. We really have to work harder, I must say that, to the extent possible that wherever you are as an individual, you have a role to play in society, you have a role to play in government. And unless those opportunities are nurtured, we will not reach where we want to go. We must tap our potentials as countrymen and women, and so that what we have, even though it's little, we tap on it and make it grow. My concluding remark is that together we can make it happen. Thank you.